The left's DEI and woke agenda has already cost Americans plenty. But now it's beginning to cost them, or they, whatever preferred pronouns they prefer. They're losing taxpayer funding. The latest example comes from the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System in my home parish, what most of the country would call a county. Now, over the weekend, the library system lost a key tax renewal. It was their only source of funding. Now, this is the same library that recently fired a bivocational pastor who's been on this program, Luke Ash, for refusing to use a biologically incorrect pronoun. Well, my next guest says the consequences went beyond the library itself because every item on the ballot failed because voters saw this as a referendum on the library. Joining me now to discuss this, Michael Lunsford, Executive Director of Citizens for a New Louisiana. Michael, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Tony. Thanks for having me on.
So you've been tracking the issues with libraries in Louisiana for quite some time. It's kind of a beehive of DEI woke activity all across the state.
It's almost the church of the woke at this point in many parishes across Louisiana. We've been fighting it. Lafayette, Livingston, East Baton Rouge is new, but we've been out in St. Tammany, Rapides, quite a number of them. But yeah, East Baton Rouge is a problem. We've seen that. Thankfully, we have this catalyst moment with Luke Ash that's kind of revealed, pulled the curtain back to show all of what's going on in our library system statewide. And now people in Baton Rouge realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's a problem here too.
What's interesting, Michael, is that generally these are property tax renewals. They generally just kind of go through the process. Everybody just approves them. And in an election like this, it is a low turnout election because there was only three things on the ballot. There was this tax for the library, there was a tax for the Council on Aging, and a tax for the mosquito and rodent control. And everybody wants to get rid of them. But the problem was that the library was the focal point, and it brought everything down.
That happens quite a bit. There's a catalyst item on the ballot, and everyone shows up and they don't know which is which. It's very complicated. You have to read all the details. So they just vote no on everything because they're mad about one thing on the ballot. And it seems to me that this was the item that had everyone all up in arms.
So the situation here, Michael, for the library, this was their main, this was their only funding because they're funded through this millage. Of course, they're sitting on over $100 million in excess revenue, so it's not like they're hurting. But they're also involved in a lot more than just providing books and educational materials. Maybe this is an opportunity for the public. I mean, this is as you said, a DEI woke. This is the church for the woke. Maybe this is an opportunity for citizens to say, hey, if you want to have a library, but get back to the basics.
Well, that's a really good point, and that's something we've been doing here for, the last 4 or 5 years, is finding Christian conservatives who are willing to serve on their local library boards. It's very difficult to find folks because, we're all busy. We have kids, we have baseball, soccer, we have ballet practice, we have all the things, plus homework and PTA. We're busy because we're conservative and we're Christian. But the woke people aren't busy, so they qualify for all of these boards, and they usually get on without a fuss because no one else runs. So that's what we've been doing as an organization, is trying to find Christian conservatives to take back our local government. And the library has been the front lines of the battle, although there are other boards and commissions. It's where the woke happens. And so I'm excited East Baton Rouge is finally realizing we got to do something.
I mean, I knew it was bad, but I really didn't look into it until Pastor Luke Ash was fired just because he refused to use a biologically incorrect pronoun. But then I began to look into it. They are fully stocked in the DEI, agenda. I mean, it is from top to bottom. Louisiana is a pretty conservative state. It's a trending red. Is this just gone unnoticed, or how did this happen, and what is the trend going forward?
Well, Louisiana voted for Donald Trump 70% in 2024. We're 68% in 2020. So, I mean, it's a pretty significant number. Supermajority of the citizens supported Donald Trump. So what happens in a scenario where you have this vacuum effectively in our local government because Christian conservatives are just busy doing what they do? And this is what happens when we take our eye off the ball and we step away from, oh, they'll handle it, it'll be okay. How bad can it be? Well, if you've seen, and I've seen the materials that they introduce when you get employed at these systems, not just this library, but all over the state, you have to go through the DEI training to make sure that you don't, use the wrong pronoun or say something insensitive or be non-inclusive. All of this stuff goes through the process. It's the same junk we've heard about and known about for a decade or more with our college systems all over the United States. We had no idea it was in the library, but all you have to do is peel back the curtain. Next thing you know, the roaches are scattering, and now we know we found something.
And we didn't even get into what they're doing with their storybook hours and what they're exposing our kids to with the whole LGBTQ agenda. Quickly, Michael, how can folks find out more about what you're doing in Louisiana? Got a lot of listeners in Louisiana, and I think the way to get at them is their funding and then control of their boards. How can people find out more?
Yeah, so newlouisiana.org. You can get connected with us there. Send us a contact. Let us know you're interested in volunteering, especially if you're in Baton Rouge. We're doing this in other parishes as well. St. Tammany's been kind of really hot, as has Livingston Parish. I think most of those are pretty much settled down. East Baton Rouge is the new front. Rapides, of course, need some help too. But if you're interested in this and you're not in any of those parishes, that's okay too. Just send us a message. Let us know. We'll get you connected with the right folks in that parish and get you started on the process to getting on these library boards. And really, most of the time, all you have to do is sit there and not vote the wrong way. Ask good questions, and that's all that's necessary.
Just use common sense. That's all that's needed. All right, Michael, we're going to lean in on this as well. Folks, text the word pastor if you'd like to sign this petition that we're going to deliver on behalf of Luke Ash. That's coming up here in the next few weeks. Text pastor to 67742, pastor to 67742. Michael, always great to see you. Thanks so much for taking time to join us.
Thanks, Tony. Good to see you.